Welcome to Sons of the Warrior, episode
Yes, 10.
10.
He's
We
just
love it.
so excited he wanted
you
to be
to
the
it.
one.
I'm sorry, I had to jump in there.
Hey,
You know what they say, if you make it to 10 podcasts, you're going to win.
You're the winners.
10 for the win.
Check it out, everybody. I have a beautiful piece of art here.
You're a beautiful piece of art.
He is sculpted.
You just made us all
Maybe I just
special.
heard it.
Sculpted.
I'm a special little boy.
Anyways,
My mama thinks I'm special.
stop making fun of
The
me.
handiwork of the Lord.
Wow.
Sorry, guys.
But check it out. I love
You're like,
everything about
and we're out. Click.
Johnny's
Okay,
done.
I'm just not going to say anything.
No,
about
hey,
my
tell us about your
super
beautiful
cool
piece
gun.
of art.
All right.
Look at this thing. I mean, this is great, dude. I
Wow.
mean, that's wonderful. I love everything about that. Got the suppressor on it. Oh, my goodness. Man, that's cool.
Kicking it old school with the lever action.
I love it. I love everything about that, dude.
It's a great ranch rifle.
And you pick it up here at Rapture. Just like that. We
you
can get
really
it set
can.
up right now.
Bum, bum,
Suppressor and all. Come on down.
Hey, if the okay, I've got mixed feelings about this, but the big beautiful bill, if it passes, we'll be able to get suppressors without
Tax
any
stamps
background
and
check,
registration.
no tax stamp,
That's
just
awesome.
free like they should be. But we will be another $2 trillion in debt, which we can't afford as an American people.
Now, you know what
But
they
can
should do,
we?
which
If we
should be a
stop all
part
the
of that
crap
bill,
spending.
is one, if they're going to deregulate them, they should go back into the jails or to people's records and then purge anyone who is found guilty of having a can or
Yes.
something.
Oh
That's
yeah,
true.
You
No.
know, nothing's
they-
changed other than what they want to call legal and not legal. So
Yeah, what they don't want to do with the drugs and stuff, but hey, they should do it for the suppressors. Although, how many people are actually charged with?
Possession of suppressor.
if it's just
You'd
one,
be
it's too
surprised.
many.
Yeah, if it's just one, it's too many.
This is true.
But yeah, no, I'm very torn because a lot of the stuff that they did in this bill is just more needless spending. I know you said if they cut out all the frivolous spending, but instead of doing that, which they should have done, followed what Doge had laid out. Hey, this is just a bunch of excess. Instead of doing that, they were like, oh, let's find $2 trillion worth of stuff that we aren't spending money on yet and just add to it. It doesn't make any sense. Like all of the work that they put in, just out the door, gone. And
Common
For
sense
what?
ain't too common.
no, and it doesn't make any sense. And I don't know if it's Trump getting bad advice or where it's actually coming from, because it doesn't make any sense off of everything that he was saying why he would be pushing this so hard. It for me, as on the gun side of it, it's the first time in like 80 years that we've had a legitimate chance. It literally passed the House to deregulate suppressors. It's so sad that it's tied in with another $2 trillion worth of spending.
Free the guns up. We'll sort it out later.
Yes, but Congress literally will not pass anything unless it is a spending-related bill. Like, it has to be passed. That's the only thing they've been passing. They haven't passed any just normal legislation, which this you would think would be cut and dry. Hey, we're going to deregulate this. There's not – how is there really – I mean, I guess there is a big opposition side that says we need to control everything, but
I'm on the other spectrum. I don't think we should have any of these crazy, high capacity magazines, AR 75s, and all this crazy stuff. Me and Joe Biden think it's a little too much. What kind of
That's what spectrum
civilian?
you're on.
What kind
you're on
of
the
civilian
same-
needs all that? You know what I mean? I mean, good night.
Hey, all
as
you
long as
need
you
is-
have a hunting rifle, because that's what the Second Amendment is all about. Getting us a good hunting rifle, some pump shotgun.
You
all
really
right,
want
that's
this.
all.
Radical if you
That's
need.
all you
filling
need.
them red coat
Tell,
tabs.
tell me what else we need.
You are really pushing my buttons. You want this program to be demonetized
I don't
right
know.
now.
Change my mind.
right off the go. No, look at what the Second Amendment was written for, and it
okay.
was not written for your hunting rights.
I don't believe you.
For your hunting pleasure.
We literally had just got out of the Revolutionary War, where we had a tyrant that was dictating what you as a free man could do. The founding fathers are like, hey, we know you're probably going to have to fight your own government in the next 50 years. So here's the tools to do it. Thank goodness we didn't have to. But that was what the Second Amendment was for.
Yeah,
So
but
that
all they had at the time were muskets that took 5
they
minutes to
literally
load.
had the
But now we
premier.
have AR-75s that you can shoot 1 million rounds
Does
out.
the military have it? Does the military have
But the military is
AR-75,
different.
whatever the heck that is? No.
Legion
AR-14s
wears 15 boxes.
You as a free man or free woman should have the ability to defend you and your family the same way, because ultimately the founding fathers envisioned us, the American people, as the defense force for the country. We were not supposed to be involved in all these foreign wars and overseas. I mean, we literally are the policemen of the ocean.
But that's where I was going to go with it. I'm glad we are on the same page. That's what the police are for.
go.
Why do we
a
need the
militarized
guns
police force?
when we can just call the police up? Hey, somebody is not invited and they're trying to break into my house. And
That's an AR-75 for everybody.
Oh, okay. Hey, we'll pull a picture of it up.
yeah, I know what I'm talking about. I know my guns.
Picture in the corner right here.
AR-75s and AR-14s are a real thing. All
I
right.
think it's a video game gun. I don't-
Anyways, but
That's from
that's what we have so many police, so they're always there to help us whenever things go wrong. So we don't have to worry about all this unnecessary worries. All right. We have the police to help us out, and we can just go about our lives and not have to worry about is someone going to break into my house? Is someone going to steal my stuff? Do I have to defend my family, or is that the police's job?
yeah. Just give up
You know-
all of your rights and just
Well,
No personal responsibility.
you know,
yeah.
Some-
no personal
some people just
responsibility. The
get-
government will protect me.
Yeah.
The government is my best friend. I love the government.
have they ever still steered you wrong?
Stealed my stuff.
Have you ever stealed
Yes.
Every year.
Every
Pretty much every time I pay taxes. Oh, speaking of that,
yeah.
okay. Does anybody else
pay taxes? No.
Yes, I do.
Does anybody
Yes.
else
As a
keep
good
seeing-
American, I always pay my taxes.
I don't have
Yes.
any money to
I'm
pay
sorry.
taxes with, honestly. But okay, the new tags that everybody
Oh,
keep getting,
yeah.
the Gadsden flags, "Don't tread on me" tags. Okay, you're literally putting a "Don't tread on me" flag on a tax that you're putting on
Sam
your.
would roll in his grave if he was.
That
I
you are
It
wanted-
makes me
tread-
sick
yeah.
every time I see it.
Like, what is that?
I wanted that tag
Do you
so
not
bad, but I could
understand-
not
No,
bring myself.
no. Man.
I couldn't bring myself because it's an extra 15, 20,
You're
25
already
bucks.
paying a tax to
Ex-
drive your own vehicle.
I
You
know.
have to pay to
Hey,
get it insured. Okay, we
no,
already talked
that
about this
goes
before.
to the road.
But still, it makes me sick every time. I
If
see
you don't have a right to drive.
no,
That's
you
a
don't
now
have a
me-
right to fish.
now me and Gabe are
let's
on the
just
same
sit
page.
back. So speaking of the DMV,
They're great.
Now, but
Yeah.
they, Joey,
They-
so I bought
started.
an out-of-state vehicle, and so I take it up the DMV. I'm like, I got the title right here.
Man,
It's
doing your
Pennsylvania
duty
title.
as
I was like, I just want to transfer this into my name. They're like, oh, you're going to have to go to a notary. They're going to have to look at the VIN and notarize.
Oh, they did the
mile and
same
everything.
exact thing to
And
me.
I was like, it comes from another DMV. Are you saying they're too stupid to have put the VIN down
You're like,
correctly?
sure.
I'm just like, it's the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life. And so I'm like, whatever. I get it notarized. I go back up there. The lady forgot to stamp it. And at this point, I'm livid. A little fire on top of my head and everything. Why I ain't got no hair.
They're sitting there
that's what the
shoveling the
fire
coal
department
into your
is for.
furnace.
And I'm like looking at the lady, and I'm just like, man. And I'm like, she's probably going, why is he mad at me? I'm like,
What did I
Because
do?
you work for the state. You're part of the problem. No, but it was, take my money. I'm trying to give you my money. Why make it so hard for you to steal my money? So not only are you stealing my money, you're stealing my time.
Yeah, no, they
You
did
know?
the exact same thing because mine is an Ohio tag. I had to go back all the way back for when the insurance was 1 day off. So they put the insurance so that it was the next day. She's like, well, I can't do it. And it was Memorial Day weekend. So she's like, well, we're closed. I had to have it before I left on my trip. And then it was like, oh, and we have to have the VIN number. Is the vehicle here? I'm like, no, the vehicle's not here. I'm literally getting the tag for it. And so then
Yeah, I drove it up.
she's like, well, you have to have the VIN number. I have to be able to verify the VIN number. And you have to have your insurance on this day. So I had to call the insurance company, get it all switched over, and then bring the vehicle back up. And it's like, really? Same exact thing. I was just sitting there like, I love America. We're so free.
Nothing makes you more frustrated than dealing with the government.
Yeah.
Not
I
me.
love it.
Me and Big Brother are best friends.
You're
I
on
know
it
that-
tonight. I don't know how you're sitting there.
Well, y'all are stuck in this idea that freedom. That's a lot of work. All right, and we're in the
Too much
20
responsibility.
we are in the
I mean,
21st
come on
century.
now.
We have everything you need in our smart cities. You know,
But it gets aggravating. You know?
Okay.
So you're doing all this process, and then you sit back, you're like, the fact that I even have to do this, I've already bought the vehicle. I have the title, which is kind of like a deed.
And you're
to the
buying a
truck,
used
right? So,
vehicle.
Yeah. Oh,
I
it's
mean,
the
I
same thing as
own this
property
thing at this
tax.
point. You know what I mean? I should just be able to take that title, if we're even going to have titles, toss it in the glove box, and drive that truck. I am now the
long
owner.
as you have it.
I've
Yeah.
signed it. The only time we should ever have to transfer it over, maybe if we go to the DMV, transfer it over after, I sell it. If I sell it again, just so he has a deed with his name on it. But at that point, the guy signed it.
No,
It's in
you-
my name.
see-
we closed that baby out when I signed it.
We're
You know what I
You
mean?
may be trying to avoid taxes.
Always. I mean,
And
never.
according to was it Hillary that said it was our patriotic duty
to pay taxes.
That sounds about right.
It's like, oh
she's
my
awesome.
God.
Women in politics.
But
Don't
speaking,
even get me started. I'm kidding.
speaking of Johnny's trust in the government,
Oh yeah,
the
Grady
new-
Judd.
our best buddy Grady.
Oh, speaking of that, I was going
Post-
somewhere else.
oh,
but
okay.
yeah.
Hutchinson for
anyways.
sheriff 2020.
where were you
So-
going with it?
I was going, the new big beautiful bill has wording in there that is illegal for states to regulate AI.
Oh, so
They-
AI could do whatever they want.
AI can do whatever it wants. The only people that can regulate it is the federal government, and we know they're not going to do
Now, if
anything.
it becomes, what's the word I'm looking for?
Like eagle eye?
Self-aware. What's it called?
Like eagle eye?
Yeah, like whatever.
the-
I mean, at that point,
smart-
it's its own individual. Do we have the right to regulate it? It's
Wow.
not.
Then it
Now
has to
it's
start
somebody.
It's
paying
its own
taxes.
person now.
Does it? Oh,
Does it have to start paying
speaking
taxes?
of more,
Yeah, now we just
more
make sure it pays
government,
its taxes. That's it.
more government control. No, that's a scary road to go down, and we may want to go down there. Florida just passed the it's a pedophile database. Ron DeSantis passed this. It's a government database for animal abusers, just like the pedophile database that you can go on there and you can see the pedophiles. You can now go on there and see anybody that has abused animals. Like,
That's what we need.
because
So if you let your dog, you keep your dog outside,
yes,
you're on that list because they literally, you can't even adopt a pet without
it's
making sure it's inside, which is insane.
And-
All right.
Oh, yeah.
I hate animals in the house. That's one of my.
Oh,
Oh
Wow.
wow!
I
All you
mean,
dog lovers out there.
a good
That's just me.
dog in
My
the house ain't that bad. If it's a good dog.
hair. There's so much. People have enough hair. You add a whole animal that's covered in hair. It's in the food. You're always cleaning off the counter. I've cleaned houses enough to know.
you're not making any
That's what I
friends
said. We
in
have
the
enough
animal
with our own
community.
hair. We don't need to add a whole animal full of hair into your home. They stink,
But that
they're
was
gross.
when
No.
I was in Georgia. The stray came up, and
Joey
we
had him
kept
a
it.
good dog.
It was a good dog, little pit bull.
So this is my.
And then the Gestapo came up, boom, kicked my door open. They're like, "Hey, is that your dog?" I'm like, "Yeah, it showed up like 2 weeks ago." They're like, that's illegal." I'm like, "What do you mean it's illegal?" I'm like, "You can't just take a dog. You have to turn it over to us, let us hold it for 2 weeks, and then we'll bring it back if no one claims it. If not, we could charge you for stealing this dog." I'm like, "But there's no owner. There's nothing on its neck. It was walking around in the rain. It was hungry, and I took it in and fed it." And I'm on probation at the time for January 6th or whatever, the pretrial stuff. So if I even get in trouble, they're gonna, and they're
Straight
like
to jail.
straight to jail. But
You criminal.
so
You dog rescuing criminal.
she's like, "Well, you know what? It's already been 2 weeks." She was actually kind of nice. She's like, "Well, I'm just going to take it to the vet and get it spayed and neutered because that's like a thing they love to do is they steal your dog and then
Yeah,
make it
and
where it
then-
can't have children." And then
Children.
so she's like, "I'm gonna take it and then you can pick it up from her and I'll pay for it." And I was like, "Oh, that's nice of you," but I was like, "I'll pay for it," whatever. I thought it was gonna be like
say, heck
I thought
yeah,
it was gonna be
go
like
for it,
$100 or something. Like I go to pick up this dog, they're like, "That's $360." I'm like, "What'd you do to it?" I was like, "So you broke my dog and now I have to give you almost $400?" And
Yeah,
so
you
when I'm
could've-
taking it back, they're like, "Are you gonna put it in the house with you?" I'm like, "Well, she likes being outside." And they're like, "Well, at night, are you going to bring it in?" I'm like, "I guess." And they're like, "Okay, well, you can't have it if you're not going to bring it in your house and take care of it." I'm like,
That's
it lives outside normally, right? Like,
Yeah. Oh no. The whole delusion around animals. Because I'm not going to say that people that beat their dogs or whatever are justified, but I am saying that it is crazy that we treat
animals. better than
animals. Yes.
Yes.
Because you look at you were made in the image of God. You were made with a spirit. Animals are not made in the image of God. They are there for our benefit. God created them for our good.
Mm-hmm.
And so, should we abuse that? No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't abuse that
our
at
job
all.
is to take
But
care of
that doesn't even make any sense, except for the fact that we have now put
we worship
them
the
on
creation
yes,
more than the
we've put them on a
creator.
pedestal, and we treat these animals like they're humans, and sadly, they're not.
Well, I think you're dead
Now,
wrong.
I'll tell you what. Now, we shouldn't.
Now, where I'm
wait,
coming
real
from
quick.
is animals.
I don't want to
you.
get sidetracked too much. We're talking about the list, right? So there shouldn't be a list for that.
No.
There shouldn't be a pedophile list either. We should just kill them.
Oh yes, no, I totally agree. How can you be okay with somebody messing with your children, and then
How do you have a list of look out for
getting
these guys? We
out-
know they're out there.
and then just living life the same as the rest? Oh well, they have a felony, so they don't live the same as you. But they're breathing air. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? This is gonna get what is it? Pedophile hate, where they're what's that? The maps.
Now, I'm not saying we make
Minor-
lynch mobs and just go get them. But what I am saying is the state has a duty
No, yes,
to
your
execute
job.
judgment and justice.
We talked about this a few weeks back, but it's literally when the government fails to do its job to protect the innocent. And how can you get any more innocent than a child? And then you have these predators running around. They're literally talking maps, like minor attracted person, as a way to get around the word pedophile because they don't like it because
It's too harsh.
Yes. And it's like, oh
Yep.
my gosh. It just it infuriates you. And that's part of the problem when the government does not do its job. Because I couldn't imagine something happened to my children,
Yeah.
and then
You're never going to find that person. They just
Yes,
are going to cease to
they-
exist.
oh, here's
'Cause there's
10
ways to
years,
do it.
5 years. No, because
Well-
when
Oh, go ahead.
the January 6th stuff was happening, Tom had looked it up. 5 years for some pedophile offenses is all they get. And it's like, so you're going to serve 5 years. Well, that's like when Josh, our cousin, he was in prison, and him and Michael Perkins, they were in Low, which was a pretty much a pedophile prison.
Well, from what I hear, like where they were at, like that's all there is there.
Yeah.
Because that's like the only safe place for them, and that they treat them like a protected class. If you like get in a fight with one, you're leaving.
Yeah.
You're not going to be by your family.
Yeah.
Which is sick. It's just evil.
But that's the whole thing with like the list, what we were saying earlier, like the dog list or whatever. When you start doing that, is like, who's to say what is abuse? Just like you're a parent and you choose to protect your child and keep them from something, homeschool or whatever. It used to be, if you don't register with the state, all this stuff, it's child abuse, and they could take your children from you because you're not teaching them. You may be teaching them, but it's not on record. I mean, it's dangerous. Anytime you get into that, like, what is the level of child or
Anytime
abuse,
the government steps in,
what's the level of terror? Same thing we went through. What's the level of terrorist? It's just whatever they say and whatever floats their boat that year or whatever, to get who they want to target, and it's just a dangerous road to go down.
Yeah. Dangerous stuff.
Yeah.
Always.
Any type of well, after January 6th, you saw the dangers of any type of government information gathering. Really, because it was just weaponized. You had seen it before. You had seen the signs, but really that brought into light. Boom. This is how weaponized the government can be used against you,
And how
fast it can be enacted, and how fast you can be demonized as a U.S. citizen, because you have certain rights as U.S. citizens that should be honored, but because you have these bills that I was listening to one guy, and he was comparing the Big Beautiful Bill to the Patriot Act because there was so much stuff. There's I forget what company it is, because there's another database gathering in that Hadroll. I forget. It was one of those a private company that's going to gather U.S. citizens' information. And I didn't finish the podcast, so I didn't get to hear exactly what the reason was for them to gather it. And it's like, why do we need more information gathering? You literally need to stay away from that. We looked for the last 5 years at how dangerous that is. Why would we do it? Why would we start?
Why would they
again?
give up control though? Like they already. Why wouldn't
Well,
they?
this is the guys and that's what I was talking to somebody earlier. I'm like,
the guys that pretend to be.
they used that stuff to go after Trump. Why would he be trying to do it?
Well, I mean, okay, so it's the same thing that I still haven't understood is all these people that come, we get out of jail and you go back and it's like all these like minor stuff. They're like, throw them in jail for this. Oh, they should do that. Throw them in jail, all this. I'm like, okay, you're literally preaching or the opposite of what we just came from. Like, oh, just cuff them and stuff them because they look at me sideways.
Oh,
Like,
I gotcha.
calm
I was
down.
like, I'm all for some.
No, I mean,
some
they like.
government employees being arrested.
Yes,
and
the
being,
government needs to be held accountable.
was-
But I'm talking about just regular citizens doing other stuff that they're just like,
yeah.
throw them in jail. Like,
That should be against the law. Why?
yeah.
And it's like,
okay, just more regulations. Why? And
why do we
and
need?
did you not learn from what you just came from?
That's what I was listening to these one guys. There one guy had a ministry out there in Oklahoma, but he was just saying how the governor up there was doing some really great stuff, and he was saying I forget what it was, but he was trying to have like a national day of
National Day of Prayer.
anyways, doing certain things that are really good, and he's like, I'm all for it, anybody heading in the right direction, but he's like, even if it's good things, whenever the government is stepping into your life and telling you what to do, he's like, I don't like it. Even if it is good. He's like, the government shouldn't be telling you what to do no matter what. He's like, if the people decide to do this, yes, it's 100% what it should be going. And he's like, I can't complain, because at least somebody's heading in the right direction. But
Which
he's like, you just have to be careful because we can be all, no more rules and all this stuff. And then whenever things that are on our side, that we believe in by the government says, all right, this is another rule, it can always be held later on in a bad way.
Yeah.
It was kind of like Thomas Jefferson. A lot of the Christians, they like, was he a Christian? Was he this? Was he that? And they argue about it. And because he didn't like doing like days of Thanksgivings and days of national prayer and this, that, and the other. Because he's like, I don't want to use the government to force my beliefs on others.
Yeah.
He wants it to come from their heart. If it doesn't come from the heart, then it doesn't matter. You can make the world, you can police the world into submission, but you're not changing an individual.
Yeah.
You're just making somebody do something against their own will, and they're not what's the word I'm looking for, convinced. Otherwise, they're just afraid.
Yeah.
And so it's a hard issue. And so that just kind of reminded me of that, where Thomas Jefferson was kind of against kind of mandating certain things
any
like
kind
that.
of state religion or
Yeah, that is a like a hard line because it's like you wanna encourage, a Christian nation or whatever, but then where's the line of what the government? That's where the church has to step in, and we have failed as a church, lately, last however many 100 years. A long time because it's been bad for a while. We pretend like it's just now getting bad. It's been bad for a while.
Yeah, there's been a steady decline.
Yeah, but
for
it's
100
been
years.
about 100 years. I
Yeah,
think. Or
I was
mean, before that, there's other issues that needed to be addressed. But anyway, but what we were saying about Johnny earlier, they posted. So our lovely sheriff that everybody seems to love, posted Johnny's wanted poster again on the Polk County Sheriff's Office.
Now, did it get
website.
posted again, or did it get activity
okay.
just moved to the top?
It got moved to the top, but then people were posting like, "Why is this posted again? This is 3 years old." Why? Like everybody was commenting like,
Yeah,
They're
somebody
still
had
looking for them.
commented. Somebody had commented on it, which bumped it up.
So at
But-
the bare minimum, he should probably take it down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
but
what.
literally it was in the first. Yeah, we had people's cousins send it to us and they're like, "Oh, hey, look what was on the sheriff's
that's what
Facebook
I
page
was,
today."
I was riding in the truck
like, okay,
at work,
hey.
and the guy, I'm like, yeah.
Still
my
hadn't
wanted
found this
poster
joker.
got posted back up. He's like, so am I in the car with a fugitive right now again? I'm like, no, don't
Comes
worry.
with the territory.
It's like,
What can I say?
It's not like that.
Yeah, no,
like, oh.
I mean, I was talking to Granger earlier, and you may have a opportunity, like a defamation of character case, because he still has it up even after.
Oh yeah, because
you
it's
were-
been up all day. I looked at
Well,
it.
I mean, he's disagreed with Donald Trump for even pardoning us.
Right. Oh yeah. No,
he
but
made a
And
whole
then,
statement.
still.
and then absolutely tried to just like act like we were, criminals coming home.
Oh,
Yeah, F around and
threatened
find
you
out what we're gonna do to
oh,
you.
It was atrocious what he put out, literally threatening y'all when y'all came home. But he still has it up, even though the FBI and everything, they've all taken it down. You're no longer a wanted person,
Yeah.
but he still has that up, defaming your character. And I was thinking he does that because I don't understand it at all. Like he will post as soon as somebody's arrested, he will put their picture up there, go on there and talk about them, and it's like, how is that not a defamation of character law?
They're not guilty.
Well, not even that.
No,
but
you're
it's
not.
You have the right to a fair and impartial trial. And when he does that, he's
Oh, yeah,
stepping
yeah.
up trying to make sure that you do not get an impartial
No.
trial. He wants to convince as many people in Lakeland as possible that you are guilty before you get to trial.
Yeah.
That is the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
There can be no other reason.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I can understand it after somebody's convicted and after their trial. But yeah, he does it as soon as and just trashes their character and is all sarcastic about it. Everybody's like, "Oh, we love Grady Judd." How do you not see through the bullcrap that he does? But it's because it hasn't been aimed at you. Let it be aimed at you, and you'll change your,
As soon as
the
you're in
song
the
you're singing.
crosshairs, then you're like, oh no.
just
see it,
I'm
and
a
then
good
you
person, I promise.
Just vote for Joseph Hutchinson 2028 or whenever our next sheriff election is. You ain't got to worry about it.
Don't gotta worry about that, Grady.
Yeah, no,
That's wild.
it's evil, and it should not be in a free society. But
But just something to be aware of.
yes,
Because
no.
it's happening around you.
Well, Miss Lem, you're going to tell us about your adventures
Oh, Adventures in
I'm
Odyssey.
from Kentucky.
up there.
I wouldn't say Adventures.
we
but-
we did mention it last week, but
Yeah,
told
she was missing.
You're out there doing the Lord's
told
work.
everybody that you were up ministering to the
Doing what
the
we
needy.
were supposed to be doing. But,
yeah.
It's all right.
But all the men stayed home.
But all the men said, wow,
Hey,
yikes.
you serve
and
where you
Miss
can
Liv
serve.
went and did it.
Well, that I did it before I went and got a new bracelet on my ankle, but I couldn't do it anymore. So it's rapid response, and I went with a team. It's called 8 Days of Hope, and I had a friend of mine tell me about it a couple of years ago, quite a few years ago. They're like, if you like fellowshipping with people and working at the same time, this is the way to go. And that's exactly, like, once I went on one trip, I fell in love with it, because it's just, as you get people from all over the country come together. Like, there was a category, I guess it's called categories, or however they classify the
Big
tornado.
Oh, the tornado.
It was
yeah.
a 4-point something, but there was like 19 people, I think, died from it. And anyways, it was catastrophic, because when we got there, it's so sad. You could literally see, like, it was so wide, but just the path. You look over the hill and it's just the straight path of just devastation. All the trees were like leveled, houses were leveled, like down to the foundations. There'd be, there was quite a few stories that there was one couple that they were in their house and they're like holding on to each other, and they said, we're not going to let go, and they wouldn't let go of each other. And they got thrown from their house, but they both lost an arm because something came and sliced them both through the arm. But because they were holding, one lost the left arm, and one lost their right arm. And then there was another story where the family was going down, because it happened so quick. The family was going downstairs to get in their basement. A lot of people only had like maybe a minute, 2 minutes to,
Wow.
to get somewhere. They were headed downstairs, and the husband and the kids had gone down, but then the wife was coming in anyway. She didn't make it, and I don't know how, but she didn't make it. It was that quick. Like, they were all just going in, and she was that close to not making it. But so many people lost their homes, just lost everything, and so anyway, we went up there to help with this. We went with this group, and you just go, and if you have a chainsaw or whatever, you bring it, and they'll feed you and they'll house you, and then you just go out with the team. They do very similar to what Samaritan's Purse does. It's just a little bit smaller scale, but it's just so cool working with all these people. Like, you get to go and actually, I guess, be the feet to what you're preaching, and it's just neat to, like, you go up there to be a blessing, but you get way more of a blessing from it. And at least I did, because I actually went for almost selfish reasons, just because, you just get so hungry for fellowship with people. And, honestly, that's what is like, there's a work, I was like, well, I was able to do it. I don't have a full-time job right now. I'm not, tied down. So I'm like, I'm just going to go. Like, I just felt like God was like, just go. And so I went, and it was such a blessing, because you do the work and you get to fellowship with the people with you, and you hear where people are coming from, like the different testimonies of, how they got saved or what God pulled them out of. And everybody comes from different places. And you got some people that grew up in a Christian home. You got some people that, had a pretty rough childhood or whatever, but, found the Lord. But we're all there coming for the same purpose. And it's pretty neat. Like, they do devotion in the morning, devotion at night before we go out to work. And you just everybody just volunteers, and they, say a word. We got a verse that you go off every week, and it was just neat. One of the last devotions that we heard was one of the guys that were on our team. It was talking about how, we are the vine and he is the branches, and abiding in Christ, and how, and he put it in a way like, what is your level of abide? And it's kind of like, what do you mean by that? But he put it in perspective of, we're supposed to be abiding in Christ. So how fruitful are we being, from that vine? If God is the vine and we are the branches, what are we, fruit are we showing? What fruit are we producing? And then he went and turned it into a way, it was like, if we're not abiding in Christ, we're not going to have the faith we need to fight the battles that we'll need in life. And he talked about, like the armor of God, out the shield of faith. We have this shield of faith, but faith cometh by hearing, hearing by the word of God. You've got to get into the word. You've got to have that relationship with God in order to have a strong shield. So it's almost like he put it in perspective, like it is our responsibility to sharpen our tools that God gives us to use. And it's like if you go out there with a dull chainsaw and a one that won't start, how useful are you? You're gonna do nothing, But yet we've got these tools that God gives us to sharpen our weapons, to have that strong shield. He's like, are you going out to battle with a cardboard shield, trying to ward off the devil, the devil's darts that are thrown at you and your family? Or are you getting into God's word? You're sharp, you're building that faith, so you have that strong shield to protect you. And just stuff like that. And that's just one example of one of, just the just the encouragement that you get when you work with other believers. And like if you like to go out and work and you have a heart for missions, that's a great place to start. I think there's a lot of other organizations that do the same thing, but that's just one I've been a part of. But so it was good. We had a good week. Saw a lot of stuff, and it was just sad. The last house we worked at, we had a bunch of trees we had to cut down, but they were surrounding this house, but his whole half of his house was gone. Like it was a nice 2-story brick house. Him and his wife, he was an older man. Him and his wife had lived in, and they were sitting over on the side, and they had pulled in a little camper for them to stay in because, half of his house was gone. He couldn't stay in it, but they had an excavator, just dug a huge hole while we were there, and was just taking his house and putting it in the hole. And it's just like, wow. And he was sitting on his little lawn chair, the chair out in front of his camper, just watching. He had to walk around with a cane, and he would go and, talk to us as, we were cleaning up, picking just sheet metal out of the yard and cutting up all the trees that were like mangled everywhere. But it's like, man, like we take for granted just the everyday somewhere to sleep at night and stuff like that.
It could be gone
in minutes. Because he literally said he walked out the door that night, and he said he walked out and he looked, and there was 2 tornadoes. One had gone by, like he could see it off in the distance go by, and he's like, oh, okay, we're good. So he goes back in, sits down, and he hears like the train noise, and it gets louder and louder. He's like, so he goes back outside, and he said there was a bolt of lightning that came down. He said he just saw a big wall of black coming at it. He's coming straight, because it went literally straight over their house. You could see the path of trees where it went across over their house and then across the road and just kept going. But so he's just like, honey, we got to go downstairs. And so they got downstairs, and they had gotten to the downstairs part and were headed down the basement when it started ripping the roof off the house. But it was like, man, it was just gone like that. He'd been there for, I don't know, a long time. I think his grandpa had bought the property originally, and so it was generational. He had been there, but it's just like you take for granted sometimes the stuff that, just that you'll have it or whatever, and it can be wiped out any time. But it's encouraging when you go out there and you see other people just coming together and the community helping each other out. And the same thing, with the North Carolina, flooding and everything up there, everybody just came together, and at the end of the day, it's not the government that job to help us. It's each other. It's the church. It's the, so if we
it should be the church. That's the ones that
who are called to do it.
The main burden falls on them. We look to the government now as our savior to come in times like that and disasters and FEMA to come in. But it's like they were never designed to be the ones to come in and bring aid.
Right.
We as Americans should take care of ourselves, and human beings, we should take care of ourselves. We've got it backwards. I wrote Davy Crockett when he was in, he had pushed, they had that hurricane that came through Galveston, Texas, and he had proposed to send money to aid the people in the rebuilding. And one of his fellow congressmen had reprimanded him. He's like, "What are you doing? This is not your money to send. You know, yes, you can send money, you can send aid, but don't send the taxpayers' money because we're not going to burden other people with that. If they want to give of their own volition, yes, they can give, but we as congressmen shouldn't be giving our taxpayers money. We shouldn't dictate how they give." And I'm like, wow, you know, that's
How far?
yeah, how far have we fallen from that? We have whole agencies dedicated to dictating how we give. It's like you put it on the American people, and we are actually
show
the
up.
most
Yeah.
generous country in the world. Like we donate more than almost, and we do have, you know, a lot of wealth, you know, compared to some of the other countries in the world, but we love to give.
But I think that's why God blesses us with wealth. Yeah, that's what. you know.
But when you
Sometimes.
tax that wealth away, and you're like, oh, we'll control how you give, then you don't have that freedom
More
to be
control.
like, hey, I see a need over here, let me give of what the Lord's given me. And it's just more control, more oversight. I can remember tornadoes scare me, not scare me to death. I shouldn't live in fear, but like hurricanes,
Fear. No, I'm kidding.
hurricanes to me are not scary, but tornadoes,
It's because
that's
you
a
have so much of a warning with it.
whole nother animal.
And I feel like the devastation isn't quite as bad. You get a lot of wind,
Yeah.
but it's not like it's
It's
tearing a
initially
tree out,
bad,
flinging it
but-
into your house. You know, like
That's one thing. Like
Yeah.
seeing it firsthand.
Oh.
Like I've seen tons of tornado damage or hurricane damage, but this like seeing a tornado up close and this big of one, it was amazing. Like just
which we are blessed to live inland.
literally.
yeah, we live
Yeah,
inland.
Yeah,
off
if
the
you
coast.
have a tornado on the coast,
hurricane.
Yeah, hurricane.
Yeah, both of them.
Both
Yeah.
of them, both of
What
them
if I
bad
had
news.
both at the same time?
We went
Usually.
up to Biloxi in Katrina right after Katrina happened, and I know that wasn't ground zero, but we still,
Oh.
even as far away as that was, that hurricane was so big. That town, like we went along the coast, and right there you had casinos because they didn't build the casinos on land. It was weird. They built casinos in the water because they couldn't get permits for them on land, so they were on boats in the water. But these barges, these big old casino barges had come, and they would just level houses. It was a really weird, like I'd never been there before, so I'm looking at it in the devastation of the aftermath of this storm, and there were a lot of like little cracker houses and stuff that were right there on the water that these casinos had just leveled. Like you went and talked to people, and there were like 3 or 4 houses on the foundation of one house. Like the debris and the wreckage just mangled all together. And then you'd go and you'd look down the road, and there were like 4 or 5 empty foundations where there was just nothing left. There was just, and it was all in this big, huge mountain, because you could see the high water mark on some of the high rises that didn't get knocked over. And it was like 7 stories high. Like the wall of water coming on shore was so massive.
No, that's what hurricanes on the coast do at night.
Yeah,
There's
get the heck
devastation.
out of there if it's a big one. But inland, it's not that big of a deal. But a tornado,
Insurance on the coast must be ridiculous.
well, they don't even provide insurance
Oh.
anymore. You know, they've
Some places.
like it's almost impossible to get insurance.
Yeah, after that last one. it was-
Like if you don't own your house outright, then you're pretty much SOL. You're not
Oh,
going
so
to get
they
it.
probably don't even give you loans because they
Yeah.
can't insure it.
You can't insure it, and so it limits who can buy or who can own a house on the coast. It's sort of what they were doing over there in Hawaii after the fire. They wanted to control who could buy that island back, and these companies would come in and everybody lost everything. Well, Oprah needs her a new house, or these corporations need to buy up the land. It's pretty evil how
And then once they buy it, they just keep the hurricanes from there with their weather machines.
wow.
well
something to think about.
yeah,
I don't know.
something
Does
to think
Hawaii get
about.
hurricanes or no?
They have, I think they call them, I don't know if they're typhoons, I think, out there. Well, I don't know. Are they below the equator?
I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's are they by Cali? Is it on that side?
It's on the
it's
Pacific.
For the Pacific side.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I'm like, I don't know exactly where Hawaii is, but
Hawaii. They,
Horizon.
yeah, it's over there in the Pacific Ocean.
It's very
yeah,
specific.
but we were.
you don't ever know because on the maps they always put them in a little square over there by
over in the
Alaska.
Yeah, it's all
You got
by
Alaska
itself.
and Hawaii over there in a
They're
little
actually
square.
where Mexico's supposed to be.
Wow. You
Mexico.
can't believe any maps anymore. They're just lying to you.
Goodness.
It's the education system. They've just done us wrong.
This happens.
But
What were you were about to
I was
say
saying,
something.
well, we were talking earlier about how, it's important, with debt. We're always going to have, until, God takes us home, we get to live in the new paradise of what he's preparing for us. We're going to have devastation. We're going to have natural disasters. We're going to have, storms, flooding, that kind of stuff. And how important it is, as far as, Christians in missions, or Johnny was talking about it. How it's important to have our lives set up so that we can do something when the time comes, and we can be able to go, and we can be able to serve or give if we need to, or whatever, and not, we do get so caught up in just working and just, being so tied down that we can't do anything when the time comes that we need to. And it's like, it is important that we try to at least try to, structure our lives so that we aren't, over our heads in debt. We're living within our means. We be able to provide for our family so that we do have the ability to, help somebody out. If somebody comes along, needs help, it's not like
It's very
the
difficult.
devastating. It is hard.
As a debt-based society, it is almost geared toward, which I feel like is part of the
Oh yeah, it's there.
part of the control plan is you keep people in debt so that they don't have the ability to. You only get how many weeks off a year if you work for a corporate, maybe a couple of weeks off a year. Maybe if you've been there for a long time, you may get a month off a year. But most of those are already dedicated to, hey, I'm going to take the family on a vacation. I'm going to, do some projects around the house. I'm going to do this or that. Oh, we may have a health emergency. I have to take a couple of weeks off, or you have a death in the family. And so all of your time off is gone. And so if you take any time off, you're not getting paid. Bills are piling up. So it's very difficult for, if you have a family. If you're single, it's not as, you don't have quite as many bills.
Oh,
But
no,
it's still,
100%. Yeah,
you
your
still
priorities are
have
different, too.
You still have a lot of bills in today's world, and so it's almost impossible to have that freedom to be able to move. And I feel like that's we were talking about that the other day on just making money and how to build wealth. And it's almost demonized to have money, but it's like it gives you freedom to be able to do things, to be able to minister to people if you have that financial freedom.
Yeah, there's nothing inherently evil about having
Yes.
money, or be able, have a successful business, or have, that gift of being able to make money. Because some people just have a gift of being able to start in businesses and like the whole networking and all that stuff, which I do not have. But
But I believe
You're a
it's a
very
big,
personable person.
big part of, a big part of faith. I believe in, when you dedicate your life to Christ, and he knows your heart, when he knows if he's going to bless you, that you'll use it to his glory. I believe if you give those things to him and he'll make a way to give you that ministry. And, sometimes we worry ourselves so much that we have to do it all. We have to provide. We have to get this done. We have to make this money. And then there's no room for God. God can't provide a miracle because you're already tied everything up to where you have to do it. You have this controlled world, and it's the end of the world if something goes out of place. And so Christ is like, well, there's no room for me here. What am I going to do with someone that's already has everything controlled? And, a brother of Christ, he was getting onto me about it because I was, I have to provide. If I have a wife, I need to do these things, and which is, our Western world of thinking. And he's like, well, where's God in all this? All I've heard is you have to provide. You have to do all these things. And he's like, well, if God gives you a wife, God's going to give you a way to provide if you trust in him. God's going to give you, but it's something to think about because my dad, when he was working for somebody else, he was a spray man, and he loved to talk to people about the gospel. And he loved to, but he's like, I get paid by the hour, and I'm getting paid to work, not to talk to people. So he felt bad he couldn't talk to people about the gospel because he had to work. And so he's like, I need to start my own business so I can just talk to people if I want. And my dad's not a brilliant businessman or anything like that. And he's a lot like me, very dyslexic. But he gave his company to Christ, and he was blessed by it. And he was able to go and talk to people, and our bills were always paid for.
Yeah.
And sometimes even I, as a kid, would be worried, like, man, how are we going to pay for this stuff? Something's, where's this money going? And it always came in, and God always provided. Now, Dad worked hard his whole life, but Dad always had freedom to go and help people all the time. And I think it's a big step of faith a lot of times that Christ is waiting for you to say, I know I have all these things that I could have in this life, but why not give it to Christ and see what he does with it? And God will provide for his children, I believe. And it's, it's something that I'm working on, trying to get out of that mindset that I have to do it all. Let me first put my priorities straight. Live for Christ and search out that ministry that he has for me. And I believe he'll make a way, to make a living at it and provide that money somehow, some way. We work. We have, there's jobs for us, and God gives us different skills and different things that he gives us that we're good at. But, getting in that mindset that we have to have our life the same as everybody else. We have to have our trucks. We have to have our house this way. We have to have all these bills. These are just necessity things that we all have to have. And then we're stuck in this world of debt that there's no room for God to do amazing things anymore. And it's tough, to get out of that mindset of this is how it all has to be this way, because it doesn't work any other way. But not necessarily, because God does provide. And I've heard a lot of men say the same thing. They've lived for themselves the whole time. And, it's something else to think about. But
yeah. And so Liv, we are in like a little group chat for the Sons of the Warrior, and she had sent Philippians 1:6. It's being confident in this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you will perform it till the day of Jesus Christ. Yeah. I mean, it's twofold, right? So that verse is all, it's main, I think, probably contextual thing is that you're going to be conformed to the image of Christ, whether in this life or the next, you're going to be in that glorious body like Christ and be perfect. But you also have that, we can rely on God to perform for us. We don't always have to be perfect. We don't always have to be out there. God's going to provide what our family needs. Yeah. We don't have to worry. God's performing. It's not us. Now, I do have some verses to go along with that to give everyone a little, what's the word? Brighten your day up a little bit. Yeah. Look forward to the hope that is in Christ Jesus. And it's one of my favorite chapters. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 15. We have 20 to 22 to start off with, but now is Christ risen from the dead and become the first fruits of them that slept. For since by man came death, by man also the resurrection of the dead. For as in Adam all die, even so in Christ shall all be made alive. And that should just give you hope, right? So you get to be made alive. You don't have to worry about death. Yeah. You get to live a life and know at the end of it that Christ is going to give you newness of life. He's going to give you perfection. He's going to give you all the things that you didn't have in this life, you
Yeah.
know.
No, that's it.
And that there'll be no worries. We were talking about this earth and how you're going to get a new earth, a new heaven, a new earth, right? You're going to get that new life, the new experience, the new.
Yeah.
This doesn't end. God gives
yeah.
you better, you know. And then if you go a little further down, it says, so also 42 to 44. So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption, but it is raised in incorruption. It is sown in dishonor. It is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness. It is raised in power. It is sown a natural body. It is raised a spiritual body. There is a natural body and there is a spiritual body. So you get that new body,
yeah.
you know, because this one is corrupted, like this earth is.
Right. Oh,
Everything about this life, like how she was talking about, the floods, the destruction, that all ceases because this is corrupted.
Right.
This is a failed,
not experiment, but reality.
It's a failed reality. We ruined it. we already fell short. But that's why God, when we trust, we believe, when we get that new life, God gives us a new body. He gives us perfection like Him.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that feels like because I fail every single day. So
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like to be perfect, but it must be awesome, right?
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah.
So that's what I think that's what that verse is promising there in for Philippians chapter 1 verse 6 is God's going to perform it. You know, you are going to get a new body, no matter what happens to you, no matter what happens in your life, no matter how far you fall, no matter, you know, God's going to make you that perfect person.
Yeah.
He's going to make you like Christ. And so that's what, you know, we were just talking about that. And
Another thing going off of that, like that I took from it, I mean, because there's so many things. That's what's so cool about the Bible. Like there is so many. You can take one verse and you can just
expound upon it.
meditate on it for weeks and get something new every day. But when we read that verse, it was like He that performed a good work in you, and it's just talking about how we are creating God's image. And it's like God, just like when He created the world, He said it was good every day, you know, that He finished, and it was good, and it was good. It's like God put that in us to work and to look back, like, because what made me think of it, like when we would go to these houses and these properties that were just devastated and destroyed, and we have like a team of, there was about 15 people on our team. And you go in, you're cutting trees all day, you're picking up, you know, debris and stuff. And when you turn around, you know, we had it cleaned up as much as you could for what, you know, the damage was. But it's like you look back and you're like, wow, you know, we did a good work for, you know, we're able to bless the homeowner or whatever. And it's like God put that in us. Just like when you build a house or you know, whatever your job is, you most likely want to do it to the best of your ability to do it good. And it's like, I just thought that was neat. Like God delights in good work.
Mm-hmm. He took
And it's
pride
like,
in His
yeah.
creation.
And it's like, it's not a sin. Like work is the what is that? It's not for salvation, but it's almost like what's the word I'm looking for? Like the result of salvation. It's kind of like how we show. Yeah.
Your reaction.
Yeah.
to
There we go.
The
You want to work
salvation.
for the Lord. You want to do, you know, but it's like God put that, and it's just neat. Just looking back, like all these little things that you look at. God, we are in God's image. We are created for a purpose, and we have a job to do. And whether that's, you know, taking care of your family and raising the next generation, whether it's, you know, going out and doing physical mission work, whether it's, you know, just talking to your neighbor and spreading the gospel, you know, we are created to work. And it's just neat how, you know, just even in that, God delights in good work and how we should strive to, you know, even if we don't think it's going to make that much of a difference, whatever we do, try to do it to the best of our ability. And that's why, you know, this week I got convicted because with the whole, you know, getting into God's word and really having that relationship, it's easy to do when there's nothing else to do. When you get back and you got everything in life to distract you, I fail at it so much at just having time to just get into God's word. And it's like, what am I missing? I'm missing out on so much. And it was
Prison,
like that's
prison
what.
Joseph would be disappointed in
Yeah,
outside
and
Joseph.
outside
well-
Joseph, like
Speaking
It's-
from the only
Exactly.
one that didn't go to prison, when y'all talk about, oh, I haven't played video games or I haven't watched a movie, I'm over here like, oh, woe is me. How have I failed? Because life distracts you. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sitting here like, well, how many movies have I watched this week? Or, and I'm like, wow, I have wasted so much time and wasting just watching, just letting entertainment fill
well,
up.
yeah, no, I'm
the-
doing the same thing.
the
Like you
void.
get on the internet, like social media, and next thing you know, you've been on there for 15, 20 minutes, it's more than that sometimes, and it's like, oh
You done
gosh,
sent your
I've
3
done
friends
nothing.
15
Yeah,
reels.
Like, yeah. No, that's
You
what,
have
and
three
that's
but
what I
it's
was,
just it's good to remind each other, or
Yeah.
to get the God gives us those encouragements, and that's what fellowship's important. And,
Oh, it is. Yeah.
And
Real-
that's what I
real
got
and
out.
fellowship.
Yeah,
That's it.
I got out
Reels
of
and
that week.
fellowship.
is-
Reels.
is-
the reels and fellowship.
Oh, free
Not-
reels.
Not the reels.
The
the
real
reels
real.
are garbage.
What?
Yeah.
They're pretty funny.
Hey,
Though.
this is
Hey,
what I'm
calm down.
saying.
They're pretty funny.
There's some good ones, but that's what sucks you in.
Oh, I thought you were talking about free to reels. I was like, don't talk,
No,
don't
you
talk
gotta
about the
free to
DC
reels.
Google or the
You
DC
gotta
people
free to
like that. The reels.
Freedom man.
Oh man.
Yeah. Now I won't
Bless
get
him.
into how much I hate media because I've said it for like the three
Yeah,
podcasts
you-
now.
you-
Media and pickleball, Johnny.
Oh, Johnny has this like halo over his. I
No.
hate anything that's not working, and
No, because
Just
I
be
get
perfect.
because I get sucked into it, and I
And then
know
he gets
myself,
mad at himself
and
'cause
then
he
I get
knows he
mad at
could be
myself
better.
because I'm like, what am I doing?
You
I've
wanna
allowed
see-
myself to do this.
At the
You
bare
wanna-
minimum, do it on company
It
time
makes-
so you get paid for it.
oh my
time.
gosh, no.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
No, that's what I've. Never mind. I won't get into all that.
The,
but
You want to see Johnny mad? Let him fail at something that he's
the
supposed to be good at.
that's terrible. I should not be that way.
no,
but-
it
Hey,
a good work ethic is, but you were talking about working and the Lord providing, and I was thinking, I was like, man, that is so. The Lord does want us to trust Him, and it's so
Yeah.
often so hard to just rest in
let
Him.
go.
But I feel there can be a mixed message in there.
Yeah.
You saying resting and trusting in Him, that's after you've done a full day's work. That's after you
Oh yeah,
put
yeah.
in
It
your
doesn't
time.
mean just be lazy
It's-
and God will provide for my
Well,
laziness.
let me just. And so there is,
Yeah.
You have to
because
be
there's a lot of it out there, the just easy lifestyle that is not encouraging a good work
Mm-hmm.
ethic. But then there's also the lack of knowledge on how to make money and how to do that good work. And so,
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to be a
It's-
faithful.
But I
It's a
believe,
balance,
I believe
a good
it's
balance.
when you're setting up your life to not get yourself bogged down with such a busy. I don't know, because it's so easy to get once you're in debt. Once you
Yes.
have all this stuff over your head, you can't just fill up a backpack and take off. Because then when you come back, they're going to take everything you have
Nope.
because you owe everybody money, and you have no more freedom. When there is no debt, there's freedom. And when Christ does call you to go do something, when, hey, this person needs help or you need to go help with this crisis that's happened. Oh, but I can't because I have to make money, because I have to pay my bills, because I'm in debt and all these things. And, we all get there. But that practice, that mindset, don't get in that spot.
Yeah.
Because you're either living for yourself, you're either living for the treasures of this world, to have a house, to have all these different things that we deem as success, or you're living for Christ. And it's
which a house isn't a bad thing. But
no, it's
No, no,
not.
no.
And
It's
you have to have somewhere to live.
We'll
It's
see
a
how this
good-
plays out. This is the plan I have to stay out of debt. It's going to be a camper, a tiny house, and then a house. Oh, in all that
Yeah.
order. It may
No.
be two tiny
And that's
houses
the thing,
smushed
that
together.
It's tough.
A little bit
because-
bigger tiny
yeah.
house.
And I believe that
medium-sized house.
you can't
there's
take it
nothing wrong
as,
with
oh, well, this
No,
guy's just
but-
anti house, all these different things. No, there's a balance
No,
in there,
'cause
but where is
you
that balance? I
look
guess in
at the
everybody's life is
biblical-
different. But
the vision, like when you go back into the Old Testament and you look at how the Lord had intended the Israelites to, he had given them land.
yeah,
Like each tribe gets this much land, and then that's passed down. And so generationally, you as a father would be preparing your child to get married one day.
yeah,
And I feel like the founders intended that for America. We have lost that vision somewhere along the way where it's almost impossible for, and we've also preached the retirement, you get a job, you work that job until you retire,
Yeah.
and then you move to Florida or,
Please
somewhere.
stop moving to Florida.
Yes.
But
Go
As
away,
a retired person, please do not
go move
we are-
anywhere else. Go
we
to
are too
Yellowstone
crowded.
or something.
But we've lost that vision of helping our children prepare.
have a place.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because that is
Well-
important. I feel like because you look at 90% of not. I don't think it's 90%. I just made that statistic up.
100%.
It's like 97% of statistics are made up on the spot.
Are they?
That one.
That's
was,
awesome.
That one.
I think
was
it
made
means
up.
we're
Yes, I'm
lying.
winning at life.
It's a lot of a huge percentage
Yeah.
of divorces originate from financial issues.
yeah,
And it's such a
pressure of it.
huge thing because it does debt.
Yeah.
And the only way to get a house in America just about is to get in
Got
debt
debt.
to get it. And so the burden that puts on a family is huge and it's hard. And so if we could, as a community, learn how to become not wealthy, but independent. So you're not
generational wealth.
so you're not not addicted, but you're not addicted to the government's aid. You're not addicted to debt to be able
You're
to
not trapped in
provide.
that
Yeah, you're not
cycle.
trapped in that cycle.
Yeah,
And so it gives you more freedom.
I
to
tell you
be
what, the
able
Bible
to-
hates debt.
it does.
So like it had the year of Jubilee where everyone's stuff returned back where it was supposed to be. If you owed somebody money, it couldn't have been more than 7 years because that year of Jubilee, everything's forgiven. Which it's 7 years, which is perfection. So I think it was
7
kind of to rein in what Christ Jesus was going to do. Perfection was coming, and your
Yes.
debts were going to be forgiven.
And
So-
then even like property, if you sold your property and got out from underneath it and went and moved to the city or wherever you wanted to go, in 50 years that was returned to your kids. So even if you just destroyed what the Lord had provided for your posterity, it couldn't go beyond the 50 years. So
yeah.
yeah,
God's like, I know my people. they're gonna
mess up.
people are gonna mess up.
But that's
hey,
that's
we
what's
have-
sad is, there's so many families out there that their dad, worked and worked and worked for them to have something, and they don't want anything to do with it. They want to go
Oh,
off
man.
and make their own living and everything else. And I'm like, like I was with this one rancher, and he, worked hard his whole life, so that his kids had something. So they had some land, and all his kids didn't want nothing to do with it. I'm like, that doesn't even make any sense. You could have a house, you could build your own house without any debt. You have a place to live. Your family is close together. The closer, the stronger you are, because you can lean on each other.
Oh yeah.
And that's how Christ wanted it to be, because if you have a society built like that, you don't need to live in debt. You don't have to restart each generation. Each generation has to basically restart their life and
Building from the
start
ground
from
up.
scratch every single time.
Start
And you have somewhere to live. You have and it all depends on how that family foundation is started and how it continues.
The
But
vision.
ultimately, that
raising
was
your
the
children.
goal.
But that is the
should
goal,
be
I
the goal.
believe.
there is,
And that's how you stay out of debt, and that's how you have that freedom.
I forget the verse, but it talks about that having a vision for the future
Yeah.
and for your posterity, and we've lost that. It's a self-absorbed reality where we don't focus on the next generation. We don't focus on anything in the future. It's just all about what can I get out of this life? What can I do? And it's almost an evil. It's a very selfish vision, a very selfish mindset. Because it's like, if I can take that burden off my kids, why wouldn't I do that? Why wouldn't I try and help them set up for the future and make their lives easier? And that was all the American dream was, hey, I want to make my life easier on my kids.
Yeah.
And it got warped, I think, somewhere along the line where it's like, I want to make my life, I want my kids to have an easier life, not a more productive life. And it's
No,
like,
but it wasn't even that. Like a lot of them, like some parents I've listened to, is they need to make their own way. They need to learn like
no,
how
that is-
I
Well, that's
learned.
what I was gonna say. Is
And a lot of them
it's
are
almost
like that,
looked
where they
down on
to you're not
give
gonna
your
live
kids
with me.
something,
Yeah.
and like, oh, they need to work
Oh,
as hard as
that-
I work to
Yeah.
get something, or
That's
the
another
kids the other way.
side of
yeah,
it.
or
Yeah.
it's
The
the complete
child's like, I
opposite.
don't want nothing that you
Yeah.
have, or society, or like, I think as a school system only teaches the kids like, you don't need your parents, you need to go off and find your own way and do your own thing,
Yeah.
or whatever. They're holding you back, and even if they are like sitting there trying to help, they turn it away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you're frowned upon, like, oh, you live by your family, you must have a compound, and you must be a bunch of crazy people. And so you almost, it's like
Yes,
shameful
and yes.
for you to tell that, yes, all my family lives around us and we actually love each other. And
Hey,
you
I
must be
lived-
crazy.
I
people,
lived
and
at
you're
the
about to
house
start a
until-
cult. Yeah.
Really, until I got married. 28.
Yeah.
And I mean, technically,
Technically,
That's-
you're still there.
She's like, oh no.
Not what I
Facts.
meant.
Gunned her down right there in front of everybody.
it's okay.
But that's it,
it's
man.
reality. But
Hey,
that- we had
that's
a-
looked on. But hey, what a blessing that I have
Yes.
family.
Uh-huh.
You get out of jail and you have family to stay with. Not everybody has that, and
Yeah.
it's like
Think of-
like as much as you
Think
feel like you're
about-
behind on life, I am thankful.
No,
Yeah.
think
Thankful that I
about
have
what you would have, the burden and the lack of freedom that you would have had if Dad was like, hey, you're 21 years old. It's time for you to kick rocks and go get your own place.
Yeah.
Well, in today's world, you wouldn't be living in Polk County. That's for dang sure.
You'd be living in some apartment trying to pay the
I'd be
bills
hitting the
or
road.
something
I'd
like
be in
that,
my
or
van.
Well, I mean,
somewhere
just
and-
you would either be leasing someplace with a bunch of other people, or you'd have to live somewhere
yeah.
not in Lakeland, anyways.
But that kind of mindset, because I understand, a lot of men get in their mindset that, to toughen them up, to toughen these guys up, they can't just rely on me. Otherwise, they're going to be living with us
No.
our entire life. But that same thing, you push your kids out and say, all right, you cannot rely on me at all. You go make your own way. It builds a wall in between you and your family members that I did this all by myself without no help. All right, so what do I need you for? And you're just, we were brothers and sisters once, but now I'm on my own. And it's
more.
almost like everybody just breaks up, makes all these walls in between each other. We come and see each other every once in a while, parties and different things, but you don't have family really anymore.
You don't have
A
that deep
strong,
connection
yeah.
anymore. That
And because you've got the wrong mindset. You're scared to death to raise weak kids, but then you push them away and make them, harden their heart towards that family because you've come at it the wrong way. And it's there's a perfect balance that Christ has given us of love and of strength. These things, they go together perfectly, but
Yeah.
It's just
being
I think
able,
that's our
That's
goal
it. That's
in life is we're constantly working to be better.
yes,
And that's where
because
More
it's
like-
it's
make
so
us more
easy.
like Christ.
Yeah, so easy to say the wrong thing or to do the wrong thing, and to have walls built up in your family, to have family strife, and because we will say the wrong thing, we will offend somebody.
Nope,
by-
I'm perfect.
by
I never,
some
never
way.
alienate
Especially-
anybody
yeah.
with my words.
And it's sad because so many families, they can always be tracked back to either one circumstance or one thing was said, and it snowballed into a snowball effect that, oh, now we don't talk to them anymore. Now we don't hang out with them anymore because we don't know where it started from. It goes all the way back to somewhere that someone didn't come back and make it right with each other, and now it's in a bad place. But it's so important, we have to, if you have fault with your family, to make it right.
Yeah.
Because it can always go to a place that it snowballs to an effect where you start breaking the family up, and now you don't have those people to lean on anymore. And and it happens to everybody. Every family I know, even our family has been in that spot. And it's so important to, if you've had fault with somebody, to make it right, because it's not worth losing a brother or a sister or a friend over one inconvenience or over one belief that is a little bit, different. And but it's something we all struggle with, something we all have to get better at to navigate through that.
Yep.
Because to have your family beside you your whole life, and to strengthen that through generations, to have all your nieces and nephews knowing that, grandpa's here, grandma and grandpa's here, great grandma and grandpa's here, or whoever, and then all of the kids are here, brothers and sisters, have a massive family. It is such a wonderful thing, and I believe that's exactly how Christ meant it to be, because you can all lean on each other, and you all, love each other. And even though everybody's different, extremely different, everybody's got their own personalities. But anyways, I'm getting off on rabbit trails.
Man.
But
What's our spiritual challenge?
Spiritual challenge, man.
Be better.
Do better.
Yeah.
Be more like Christ. How can we grow in our walk with the Lord? Physical challenge.
Be better.
Physical. Nothing to do with cardio. I'm joking. Cardio is great. In a way.
In a way, no, it is. It's very
Challenge
important.
this week. Go max out on all your lifts.
Go max out.
Oh.
Let's see what the maxes are.
Yeah, and
My
put them
bad.
down in the comments. Let's hear them.
Let's hear the maxes.
Oh.
Don't be ashamed, because mine suck at the moment.
Is it
-1.
recent PRs or
Right
No,
now.
it's
Right now.
whatever.
That's what you could do
Whatever
right
you
now.
max
Yeah.
out this week.
'Cause I
Here
was-
we go.
I was gonna say.
Oh, does that mean we have to put it in the
Yeah,
comment? No,
we could put them
no.
down there.
personal-
My bench is higher than my squat.
That is sad.
I feel like
My bench is higher than my deadlift. Oh no.
Oh, that.
No, but that's one thing that happened after I got out of jail. My bench was way up. I could bench
All
more
those
than I ever.
Bench
all
is
those
up,
1,000
squats are
My
push-ups.
down.
squats were absolute in the ground. I don't know what happened.
It's
but
called
I can't squat
thousands of
anymore.
push-ups and not thousands of
No, we did a
weighted
million
squats.
Oh,
leg-
yeah.
But they're not
I don't
weighted.
know.
It's
Yeah.
different.
I guess it is different, but
Mine are my knees. I can just hear them.
You're
Stop.
It's a
Crying
WD-40
out
on them suckers.
They're just like, So
Yeah.
I don't even try to squat heavy anymore. I just get the reps in with 225.
Just throwing out them numbers.
225.
All right.
All right.
We'll catch y'all.
Lord
on the
bless
next one.
y'all. Catch y'all next time.
Awesome. See ya later.